Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all having a great day. I have two amazing Australian-made amps right here. These are made by Achilles Amplification. I've got the ARGOS 40 watt and 50 watt amp model in here. The 40 watt essentially is like a reimagined JTM 45. You've got KT66 tubes, totally hand wired, but you've got a bunch of modern refinements like some pre-EQ controls, a switchable master volume, an effects loop, the ability to jumper the channels without having to actually jumper the channels, switchable bright cap, and a few other fun things. The 50 watt version has exactly the same features, but it's built around like a 50 watt plexi circuit. So you've got EL34s in there, the same amazing attention to detail on here. Like, these amps are supremely finished. I couldn't find any flaws on them. Now, they're stopping through here on their way to a guitar store here in WA, so I'm gonna make some noise through them and just kind of let you hear the difference between them, because if you're in the market for a fantastic boutique amp that is Australian made, which I know a lot of my Australian viewers are going to be very interested in, you might want to check both of these out. Let's go. We'll start out with the 40 watt model. I'm playing a PRS DGT going straight into the ARGOS 40 watt. I've got it on the 40 watt mode. The master volume is currently defeated, so this thing is wide open running into my Marshall 4x12 with 25 watt greenbacks and an SM57 off axis. I'm gonna start on the neck pickup in the split mode on this. I've got the volume up around 1 o'clock on here. With a JTM 45 style circuit, basically there's gonna be a point where the amp hits saturation, and it's usually somewhere around here. So you can just kind of set it there and then use your guitar volume and tone controls to shape everything else. We'll play with the EQ a little bit, but most importantly, I want to focus on the switches that are on board and inspired the name for the amp, because they let you do some stuff that would previously only be accessible by modding your amp. So let's just hear it where I've got it. I've got the bass quite low, the middle up about 1 o'clock, trebles pull back a bit, presence is at noon. Like I said, I've got that main bright channel volume at around 1 o'clock. Let's go. That's doing what it ought to do. The top row of switches on there lets you kick in a selectable master volume that's on the back panel. I've currently got that at about noon. We'll talk about that in a little bit though, because I want to be able to A/B between them and then kind of normalize the levels so you can hear the difference, if any, in tone that's happening there. Then we've got a selectable bright switch, again, something you would need to be able to mod on the real amp. And what I find really interesting is this blend switch on here, which will jumper the normal and the bright channel without having to use a jumper cable on there. So I've got the normal volume just below noon over here. Let's take this tone as a starting point and then just quickly jumper the channels, which I guess most people are probably gonna do on this sort of amp. those channels jump like that is just instant Gary Moore or that kind of thick Clapton woman tone. It's what you want if you want that particular style sound. I generally kind of just prefer a single channel on a JTM45. I like the extra crispy, like Angus Young thing you can get out of it by not jumping the channel. The bottom row of switches, the raw switch, and then cut and edge are going to give you some extra tone shaping options. Raw is interesting in that it just defeats the tone stack. So if you had an external EQ pedal, you could defeat the tone stack, put the external EQ in the amp's effects loop, and basically just create your own hybrid monster on there. Even if you don't do that, it just sounds, you know, raw and wild and open. So I will let you hear the difference between where I've got the EQ now and then with that set. Man, I just really love the way this circuit sounds. You know, I've got a JTM45 reissue that I really, really like. Having the extra switches on this to really sculpt the tone, though, is a glorious thing. The cut switch is next, probably my favorite switch on here. You can go from just kind of stock JTM45 to various levels of pre-EQ. So we'll hear that. This really pushes it from that kind of smooth thing, the fat, bulbous late 60s Marshall thing, to more of the kind of, you know, Marshall on steroids 70s thing. And then we've got the edge switch as well. I'll let you hear what that does. I'm going to leave the cut in the up position because that's my favorite position on there. kind of prefer the edge switch in the down position just because I'm a rock pig, but again, it's a nice one to have on there. So I guess for me, my favorite settings on this amp would be edge switch down, cut switch all the way up. As much as I like defeating the tone stack in there, I like having it in, so I'm going to leave this switch where it is. I've got the master volume wide open. Bright switch for me always stays on this style of amp. I know it was an old mod to like clip the bright cap, but it just never sounds bright enough to me, especially with a guitar that's got humbuckers in it, even though I can kind of split the coils on here. Then with the blend, I'm going to leave it off. I just like the single channel. So with the volume control up somewhere around here, treble and mids around 9 o'clock, bass around 3 o'clock, presence at about 1 o'clock. This would be my ideal tone for what I like on this amp. It's got so much character, it's so touch sensitive, and it's just inspiring to play. So with that in mind, I want you to hear the master volume next. I've got it set at half on the back. I'm gonna play you a clip where you can hear the difference in volume between wide open like we've got it and then with the master volume at halfway. Then I will normalize the clip so you can hear what it's doing to the tone. That's pretty interesting. Not slamming the master all the way up kind of adds a little bit of tightness back into the sound, a little bit more control. It's sort of moving it away, I guess, from that classic JTM 45 thing towards more of your like plexi 50 watt thing or even like a JCM 800. So with that in mind, I almost want to redial the amp a little bit on the humbucker mode. There's also a 20 watt and a 40 watt power switch on the back as well, which obviously will kick the wattage down. That is going to be really handy in combination with the master volume. You know, if you've got to use this as a gigging amp, and sometimes you can't just wind it all the way up. But for now, let's hear it with this master switch down and the master volume engaged. Very interesting. As we've seen so far, you got this wide range of tones accessible between all the switches on here, the master volume, the fact that there's an effects loop as well. I've got the new Boss DM101 delay machine in here. and I'll let you hear it with the delay bypass, and then there's a really handy level control on the back. So, you know, if you want to get the right level going into your pedal, you can do that. But the loop sounds super transparent, doesn't really have any impact on the tone that I can hear, and it's not noisy or anything like that. So I'll let you hear this setting where I've now got this blended, kind of going back from what I said before. I think without the master volume, I just like the single like bright channel on here, but with it, you know, adding a little bit of fatness by blending the channels on there is pretty awesome. So I think I'm just on the classic mode on this delay. I'll let you hear it. Let's try the 50 watt model now. We've got EL34s in here. It's way more of a plexi vibe than the JTM vibe, so I'm expecting a lot more aggression in here, even though we heard we could get the 40 watt version of this amp quite aggressive. So I'm gonna start with the channel 1 volume down quite low and the bright cap off. Kind of just got everything else the way I liked it on the 40 watt version. So the master volume's not engaged. The tone stack is in the circuit. It's not defeated with that raw switch, but I've got the edge down. I'm gonna have the cut in the up position. Let's just have a listen to the difference between having the bright cap in and out of the circuit here, and then we'll have some fun and we'll add some more gain. thing is just a pure rock machine in contrast to the 40-watt model, which is a bit smoother, creamier. I think if you're going for like a blues amp or something like that, the 40-watt would be the way to go. If you want just an unhinged rock machine, the 50-watt would be the way to go. Let's hear the difference between the 50-watt mode. I've got the master volume defeated on this, and the 25-watt setting on there. I'll try to play the same Schenker riff 2 times, and I'll normalize the volumes in post. There is a volume cut. It's not as much as I expected. I think if you really want to bring the volume down, then use the master volume on the back and engage it. But just listen out for any tonal differences between 50 watts, which you're going to hear first, and then 25 watts. I'm going to pull up stumps there for today. A massive thank you to Achilles Amplification for letting me borrow these 2 amps. I've had so much fun with them. They've kind of helped me reconnect with what I love about these non-master volume Marshall circuits, but they give you all of the modern conveniences like a switchable master volume and the tone shaping options, the ability to defeat the tone stack, a really solid effects loop, and just superb build quality. They are a one-man shop. They do everything in there. The amps are hand-wired. They're beautiful pieces of artisan guitar noise-making equipment. And if you want to learn more, I will put more in the video description. Kind of what they're doing with these amps reminds me of another Australian company, Past Effects, which are kind of taking these vintage pedal designs and refining them and reimagining them for modern players. That's basically what's happening here with the ARGOS 40-watt and 50-watt. The tones are there. They're inspiring to play. For me, it just brings to mind all my favorite 60s and 70s rock records that I grew up listening to. You know, I had a cool dad who played all that kind of stuff. So even though I'm a lot younger than a lot of people who would be into this, these just make me really happy. I think the more kind of rock and roll hard rock machine is definitely the 50-watt version with EL34s. If you're doing more subtle stuff, you still want to be able to do the rock stuff, but maybe you're more into your blues or your big smooth lead tones, then the 40-watt version, in my opinion, is the way to go. More information in the video description. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, check out a bunch of links there. I should play you all out with some more glorious guitar noises out of this 50-watt version. Let's see what happens. Let's see where we end up. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.